Building wealth on a 9-to-5 salary is not just possible, it's achievable with the right strategies and mindset. This audiobook reveals practical, step-by-step methods to turn modest income into lasting financial freedom, showing how to save, invest, and grow multiple income streams systematically. You'll learn actionable techniques that high earners use, even while starting from nothing, empowering you to think like a millionaire and take control of your financial future. Follow each chapter carefully, apply the strategies consistently, and watch your financial trajectory transform. Subscribe now to access all 10 chapters and start building wealth today. Number 1, turn fixed income into wealth. There is a quiet power in taking a steady paycheck and turning it into something that grows on its own. The fluorescent hum of an office, the morning coffee cooling beside the laptop, the calendar reminders and the regular deposit hitting the account every month. Those ordinary rhythms hide enormous potential. Money arriving predictably makes planning possible. That predictability becomes the scaffolding for a life that compounds, not because of a lucky break, but because of a disciplined, repeated set of choices. The path from a 9-to-5 salary to real wealth is not glamorous. It is patient, methodical, and relentless. That is the advantage. Fortune favors the prepared and the persistent more than the spectacular. First, accept that a consistent salary is not a limitation. It is a tool. Treat each paycheck as a source of opportunity, not only to pay bills, but to allocate capital toward assets that produce more than they consume. An asset is anything that puts money back into your hands over time. An investment account that grows, a rental property that produces cash flow, a business that earns while you sleep, or skills that increase your earning power. The central idea is simple. Shift the role of money from consumption to creation. That shift happens through intention and systems, not motivation alone. The psychology of this transition matters. When the paycheck arrives, immediate impulses push toward comfort. Nicer dinners, gadgets, or a slightly faster car. Those small comforts are seductive because they feel like progress. A different habit feels less immediately satisfying but compounds. Paying down high-interest debt, seeding a retirement account, buying index funds, or funding a small side project. These choices often feel invisible at first. Embrace the invisible. Picture a seed under dark soil. Growth is not visible for a while, but it occurs. The discipline to choose the invisible option repeatedly is what separates those who drift from those who build. Practical steps matter. Track every dollar for 1 month. Recording spending creates clarity. It turns vague discomfort into precise problems that can be solved. Use a simple spreadsheet or an app, but keep it plain. Income, fixed expenses, variable expenses, and savings. That map reveals the small leaks, subscriptions forgotten, recurring charges, dinner delivery that when closed, free up money to be redirected. Close those leaks the way a stoic would close unnecessary doors, with calm, decisive action. Create a prioritized list for every paycheck. A practical allocation model could be essentials, short-term savings, debt reduction, long-term investing, and learning income growth. For example, after necessary living costs are covered, direct a fixed percentage. Start with 10% into long-term investments. Automate this. The single most transformational action for someone on a 9-to-5 is to automate saving and investing. Setting transfers on payday removes willpower from the equation and makes saving a non-negotiable part of your financial identity. Debt is an enemy of compounding, especially high-interest consumer debt. Attack it with discipline. Choose a strategy and follow it. Either the snowball method, paying smallest debts first for psychological wins, or the avalanche method, attacking the highest interest first for mathematical efficiency. Whichever approach matches temperament, execute it with intensity until that debt is neutralized. The relief that follows is not merely financial, it is the clearing of mental bandwidth. That clarity is invaluable and creates room for purposeful investment. Invest consistently, even in small amounts. Index funds, low-cost ETFs, or a diversified mix of holdings provide exposure to the broader engine of wealth, the market. Dollar-cost averaging, investing fixed amounts regularly, reduces timing risk and harnesses volatility as an advantage. For retirement, maximize employer contributions. If an employer match exists, Capture it fully. That is free money and an immediate return on contribution. Use tax advantage accounts to reduce drag. Contribute to retirement vehicles available in the local system, such as employer-sponsored plans, IRAs, or other tax-sheltered options. Expand income surgically. Earning more undercuts the need to cut every expense to the bone. Focus on skill stacking, pairing complementary skills that create unique value. For example, combining technical ability with sales aptitude or marketing with basic graphic design makes freelance work or side contracts more accessible and lucrative. Invest time in one skill for 3 to 6 months with daily focused practice, then monetize it. Small steady extra income funnels directly into investments or debt repayment. Keep the extra cash out of lifestyle inflation. Treat it as capital. Create systems for reinvesting gains. When investments produce dividends or a side project yields profits, channel those returns back into asset building rather than immediate luxury. Compounding accelerates when gains are reinvested. A practical approach. Designate a growth account where all windfalls, bonuses, and side income flow. Each month, allocate that account according to a predefined rule: 60% reinvest, 20% emergency fund, 20% skill income development. Systems reduce decision fatigue and preserve the long-term plan when emotions run high. Protect progress. Wealth can be fragile if built without protection. Maintain an emergency fund that covers 3 to 6 months of essential expenses. Insurance is not glamorous, but it is a shelter against catastrophic setbacks. Health, disability, and appropriate property insurance prevent a single adverse event from undoing years of disciplined work. Legal basics, wills, basic beneficiary designations, are small actions that preserve capital and grant peace of mind. Real estate and business ownership are valid paths for people on salaries, but approach them with humility and calculation. House hacking, renting part of a property while living in the rest, reduces living costs and builds equity. Small, manageable business ideas that match existing skills can start as weekend projects and scale. Each opportunity requires due diligence. Understand local markets, run conservative cash flow projections, and limit leverage to comfortable levels. Use leverage wisely. Debt magnifies gains and losses. Stoic prudence means using debt as a tool, not as a lifestyle problem. Daily rituals support long-term wealth. Begin mornings with a brief review: what must be paid, what transfers are scheduled, and what learning will be completed that day. Reading 10 pages daily on investing, negotiation, or a skill related to income growth compounds knowledge faster than sporadic study. Practice negotiation at least once a quarter, whether for salary increases, freelance rates, or vendor discount. Negotiation is an underused muscle that can materially accelerate progress. Measure progress in systems, not in outcomes. Wealth building is a process. Check the health of the system. Percentage of income automated into investments, rate of debt reduction, monthly learning hours, and number of income streams cultivated. When a system functions well, results follow. Stoic resilience means returning to the system after a setback, rather than abandoning it. Missed a month of investing? Recalibrate and automate to avoid recurrence. A setback is information, not identity. A few concrete actions to start today. Record every expense for 30 days. Set up an automatic transfer of at least 10% of each paycheck to an investment or retirement account. Identify one subscription to cancel and redirect that money to investments. Choose one skill to improve and schedule 2 minutes a day to practice it. Call HR or check employer benefits to ensure full capture of any matching retirement contributions. Those 5 actions create immediate momentum and require minimal emotional drama. They are not heroic, they are practical and steady. The final truth is simple and uncompromising. Wealth built from a steady salary is an exercise in character. Consistency, patience, and humility compound into freedom. Wealth gained overnight is rare. Wealth earned through small, disciplined decisions becomes unshakable. The office hum and the regular direct deposit become not constraints, but instruments. Focus on daily habits that channel money into assets, on protecting what is built, and on growing income intentionally. Over years, the accumulation will feel inevitable because it was engineered to be so. A closing image. Imagine standing at the shore with a small jar of pebbles. Each paycheck is a pebble. Many will be tossed casually into the water and lost. Place a pebble into the jar instead. Continue this every pay period. The jar will not fill overnight, but each deposit is irreversible progress. In time, the jar will be heavy. The weight of accumulated pebbles is quiet, steady, and unstoppable. Build that jar with purpose. The discipline practiced today becomes the wealth that frees tomorrow. Number 2, build assets without high income. Building assets without a high income is not only possible, it is a strategic exercise in discipline, creativity, and vision. Many people assume that wealth requires a large salary or sudden windfall, but the reality is that consistent, purposeful action compounds far more reliably than luck. Assets are not defined by their price tag. They are defined by their ability to generate value over time. A property, a small online business, shares in a growing company, or even intellectual property like a course or a book. All of these are assets that work for you if managed correctly. The challenge is learning to acquire these assets thoughtfully, without being shackled by the limitations of a modest paycheck. The first step is shifting perception. Money itself is not the core driver. It is the medium through which value is transformed into assets. Income alone will not make someone wealthy, but money consistently directed toward productive resources does. With a lower salary, the focus must shift to maximizing the utility of each dollar, seeking opportunities where effort produces an outsized return. Wealth is the result of allocating scarce resources, time, money, and energy, into ventures that multiply themselves. Think of each dollar not as something to spend, but as a tiny soldier on a mission to generate more capital. Identifying assets begins with understanding what qualifies. Anything that generates cash flow, appreciates in value, or enhances your ability to earn qualifies. A small rental property bought in a growing neighborhood, even if it requires initial sacrifices elsewhere, becomes an income-generating machine. Dividend-paying stocks provide regular returns that can be invested. Online ventures such as digital products or affiliate systems require upfront effort, but continue to produce revenue long after the initial work is done. Intellectual property, skill sets, and networks are equally valuable. They are assets that enhance income potential without additional money spent. The key principle is leverage. Assets multiply effort, whereas liabilities consume. Budgeting plays a critical role in asset building, especially when income is modest. Every dollar spent on unnecessary consumption is a dollar that cannot compound. Create a precise understanding of monthly inflows and outflows. Categorize spending, essentials, wants, and potential investment capital. The temptation is always to indulge, to seek immediate comfort, but the advantage lies in delayed gratification. Small sacrifices now, cutting unnecessary subscriptions, reducing dining out, choosing practical transportation, creates significant capacity for acquiring assets. When money is scarce, strategy must replace impulse. Once resources are identified, focus on gradual accumulation. Real estate can seem out of reach, yet strategies like joint ownership, house hacking, or starting with smaller properties make it accessible. Look for undervalued opportunities where entry costs are low but growth potential is solid. Small businesses or online ventures require creativity rather than large capital. A service-based project, tutoring, freelance work, or digital products can begin with almost zero overhead and grow steadily. The goal is to take incremental steps that over time create a diverse portfolio of income-generating assets. Patience is not passive, it is active. Measured persistent automation and consistency amplify progress. Set up systems where money flows into assets automatically. Even with a modest income, consistently redirecting a portion toward investments or savings multiplies over years. Automating monthly transfers to a brokerage account, a retirement fund, or a business account ensures that progress is relentless, even when willpower is low. The act of automating forces a mental shift. Growth becomes inevitable rather than optional. Discipline is no longer just a choice, it becomes structural. This approach allows assets to build momentum quietly and continuously, compounding over time. Leverage the power of skills as assets. Skills are not just tools for earning, they are instruments for creating opportunities that money alone cannot buy. Learning coding, digital marketing, financial literacy, or sales enables the creation of ventures and investments that were previously inaccessible. Every skill acquired increases potential returns and reduces dependence on external income sources. Skills convert time into scalable value, and when combined with financial discipline, they accelerate asset growth. Invest in yourself consistently, treating knowledge acquisition as a high-return asset. Networking and relationships are equally critical. Connections often create opportunities for partnerships, mentorship, and collaboration that money alone cannot produce. Attend events, engage with communities, and seek mentors who have successfully built assets with limited income. Learn from their mistakes, replicate strategies that align with your values, and avoid the temptation to overextend financially. Relationships amplify opportunity. They are intangible assets with compounding potential over time. Approach each interaction with intentionality, focusing on giving value as well as receiving it. Frugality and resourcefulness are strategic advantages. High-income earners often fall into lifestyle inflation traps, spending additional money on non-productive goods. When income is low, necessity teaches creativity. Finding solutions without high expenditure becomes second nature. Repurpose, negotiate, barter, and invest effort in research before spending. This mindset reduces waste, increases efficiency, and allows more capital to flow into asset-building endeavors. Being constrained financially is not a weakness. It is a teacher that instills precision and foresight, traits that high earners often lack. Diversification matters. Assets should not be concentrated in one basket. Spread risk by allocating resources across different vehicles: financial investments, real estate, intellectual property, and skill development. Diversification does not require massive sums. Even small contributions to multiple streams reduce vulnerability to unexpected changes while providing multiple avenues for growth. The goal is stability and resilience. Assets, unlike liabilities, should create redundancy in your financial system, ensuring that a single setback does not undo years of work. Tracking progress ensures momentum and motivation. Create simple metrics: monthly contributions to assets, growth in investment accounts, new skills learned, or revenue generated from side ventures. Visibility creates accountability. Tracking allows for tactical adjustments, keeping strategy responsive rather than reactive. Celebrate small milestones quietly, but consistently. They are evidence of forward motion. Momentum builds confidence, and confidence fuels disciplined decision-making. Without tracking, the slow accumulation of assets feels invisible, and patience can waver. Risk management is fundamental. While building assets, understand exposure and control it. Avoid over-leveraging in pursuit of rapid growth. Evaluate opportunities with realistic projections and margin of safety principles. Ensure physical assets where possible. Maintain emergency reserves, and protect intellectual property. Stoic principles apply here. Focus on what can be controlled, accept uncertainty without panic, and prepare for contingencies with deliberate planning. Prudence in risk-taking preserves both capital and peace of mind, creating space for long-term accumulation. Mindset is the invisible infrastructure of asset building. Believing that wealth is possible without an enormous salary transforms behavior. Wealth is a game of strategy, patience, and compounding, not speed. Consistently choosing assets over consumption, prioritizing learning, and executing small, deliberate actions fosters confidence and resilience. Each successful decision reinforces the belief that progress is achievable, creating a virtuous cycle. Embrace discomfort as a signal of growth. Every sacrifice made today enhances freedom tomorrow. The mind becomes an asset when disciplined, structured, and focused on long-term gain. Immediate steps include listing all potential assets within reach, evaluating available capital, identifying skills that can be leveraged to generate additional resources, automating small monthly contributions, and committing to a disciplined review of progress. Begin modestly but consistently. The magnitude of each action matters less than the pattern of repetition. Small, intentional steps, when performed daily, form the foundation of substantial wealth accumulation over time. Wealth is a result of accumulation and leverage, not the size of an initial paycheck. Ultimately, building assets without a high income is a demonstration of control over circumstances, not reliance upon them. It is proof that freedom is created, not inherited. A steady salary can be transformed into a portfolio of resources that generate income, provide security, and increase choice. Each step is a deliberate act: the savings redirected, the skill learned, the small property acquired, the digital venture launched. Over years, these decisions accumulate quietly yet powerfully. By the time the casual observer recognizes progress, the system has already created financial resilience, independence, and confidence. The power lies not in abundance at the start, but in consistent, intelligent action, proving that assets can be built from almost nothing, provided every action is intentional, strategic, and persistent. The long-term vision is clear. Patience, focus, and incremental growth create wealth. Income is not the barrier. Vision and execution are. Daily effort in the right direction transforms scarcity into security, modest means into prosperity, and ordinary circumstances into a foundation for extraordinary achievement. The journey is slow, deliberate, and deeply rewarding, teaching lessons in discipline, foresight, and self-mastery. Assets, once accumulated, become freedom. Freedom from worry, from reactive living, and from dependence on unpredictable forces. This freedom, earned methodically, is the true measure of wealth. Number 3. Automate saving like a millionaire. Automating savings is not merely a financial tactic. It is a mindset that converts intention into action without relying on fluctuating willpower. Most people fail to save because they leave it to chance, deciding each month how much to set aside, only to be swayed by desires, unexpected expenses, or the subtle pull of instant gratification. True financial discipline does not emerge from heroically resisting temptation. It emerges from structuring your environment so that saving becomes automatic, inevitable, and effortless. This approach turns the slow, often invisible process of compounding into a reliable engine for wealth, regardless of income level. The first step is understanding that savings is not a singular event, but a system. Treat each paycheck as a recurring opportunity, not as a finite pool of money to spend freely. From the moment funds hit the account, they should be assigned a purpose. Divide them into categories before spending a single dollar: essentials, obligations, investments, and savings. By predefining allocations, money no longer drifts aimlessly. It follows a disciplined path that mirrors the priorities of a millionaire. Automation ensures that this path is followed consistently, every month, without hesitation or second guessing. Technology makes this easier than ever. Banking platforms, apps, and investment services allow recurring transfers to accounts designed to grow wealth. For example, one can schedule automatic contributions to retirement accounts, investment portfolios, high-yield savings, or emergency funds. This is not an optional convenience. It is the backbone of financial compounding. Even modest, consistent deposits gain momentum over years, proving that it is not the size of the contribution, but its consistency and timing that matter most. By removing the human element from the decision, automation turns discipline into default behavior. Mental framing plays a crucial role. Consider each automated transfer as a deliberate act of self-respect and future preparation. When the transfer occurs, the funds are no longer spendable. They are shielded from impulsive decisions. This reduces financial anxiety and creates a sense of control. By structuring money flows, the brain no longer battles temptation, but observes a system working on your behalf. Over time, this builds confidence, resilience, and the psychological certainty that wealth is possible, even on a modest salary. Emergency funds are a primary target for automation. Life is unpredictable, and small setbacks can easily derail progress if unprepared. Set up an account dedicated solely to unexpected expenses and schedule consistent contributions. Even if the deposit is small, the cumulative effect over time creates a buffer that prevents crises from eroding long-term goals. This sense of security also frees mental energy, allowing sharper focus on growth-oriented actions rather than constant worry. Automation extends beyond just savings accounts. Investments should also be structured for consistency. Contribute a fixed amount into index funds, mutual funds, or dividend-generating assets at regular intervals. The process, known as dollar cost averaging, smooths out market volatility and reduces the temptation to time the market. By systematically investing, even small sums grow into substantial wealth over decades. This approach mirrors the habits of the wealthy: disciplined, patient, and methodical, never reliant on luck or timing. Side hustles and additional income streams benefit from the same principle. Instead of spending extra earnings immediately, set up automatic allocations for investments or asset accumulation. Freelance work, bonuses, or gig income should be treated with the same rigor as the primary paycheck. By channeling supplementary income into structured saving and investing systems, the incremental gains accelerate wealth growth without increasing stress or mental load. Automation ensures that the money is leveraged rather than squandered. Reducing friction is vital. The easier it is to save, the more likely it is to happen consistently. Choose tools and platforms that require minimal maintenance. Avoid accounts that necessitate repeated manual transfers or complex decisions. Simplicity and clarity enhance adherence. Each obstacle avoided: manual effort, confusing procedures, unclear rules, removes a potential failure point. By streamlining the process, saving becomes habitual, almost unconscious, and deeply aligned with long-term objectives. Automated saving also cultivates patience. Wealth does not arrive instantly, and the psychological difficulty of waiting can undermine financial plans. Automation decouples emotion from action. Transfers happen regardless of mood, desire, or temporary temptation. Over years, the compounding effect becomes visible, reinforcing the decision to automate. This consistent accumulation teaches a lesson beyond money. Progress is a function of systems, not bursts of willpower or fleeting motivation. Periodic review is necessary, even with automation. Systems are effective only if aligned with goals. Quarterly or semi-annual reviews ensure that allocations remain appropriate and opportunities for optimization are seized. For instance, as income grows, automated contributions should increase proportionally. Investment allocations may require adjustment based on life changes or risk tolerance. The key is to maintain discipline while remaining adaptive. Automation is not a set-and-forget magic trick. It is a deliberate tool that amplifies human judgment, not replaces it. Automation encourages strategic foresight. Knowing that savings and investments happen reliably reduces anxiety and fosters long-term thinking. It enables bolder moves, taking calculated risks, pursuing higher education, investing in skill development, or launching side projects. With a financial safety net that grows without effort, decisions are no longer reactive, but proactive. The wealth generated through these automatic systems is not merely monetary. It is freedom, the freedom to pursue opportunities, make deliberate choices, and live aligned with long-term priorities. A practical approach to implementing automation includes several steps. First, identify recurring income sources and determine allocation percentages for essentials, savings, and investments. Second, establish separate accounts for each category to prevent accidental use. Third, set up automated transfers immediately following each paycheck. Fourth, implement reinvestment strategies for dividends or interest earned, ensuring growth compounds continuously. Fifth, periodically review and adjust allocations to accommodate changes in income, goals, or circumstances. This systematic approach converts intention into habit, habit into progress, and progress into tangible wealth. Mindset complements automation. Trust the system rather than relying on temporary enthusiasm. Avoid the temptation to pause contributions during low mood periods or minor financial setbacks. Recognize that the habit itself is a form of wealth. By committing to a system, the individual aligns daily behavior with long-term vision. Each automated transfer is an affirmation that financial security and independence are non-negotiable, not optional luxuries. This consistency cultivates resilience, patience, and the capacity to act in alignment with reason rather than impulse. Automation also allows for psychological leverage. Small, consistent contributions shape identity over time. The individual begins to see themselves as disciplined, forward-thinking, and capable of growth. This self-perception reinforces productive behaviors, creating a cycle of compounding character as well as capital. The habits of automated saving extend into other domains: time management, skill development, and personal growth. Wealth building becomes a holistic practice, not a narrow financial exercise. The ultimate benefit is simplicity, married to exponential results. The system eliminates the need for daily decisions about money, minimizes stress, and maximizes compounding potential. Wealth accumulates quietly, invisibly, and inexorably. Over years, even modest contributions produce outcomes that far exceed expectations. The invisible accumulation creates freedom, security, and option. It transforms limited income into significant financial power, proving that consistency and structure outweigh fortune, speed, or initial resources. Immediate action includes identifying income, defining allocations, selecting reliable financial platforms, scheduling automatic transfers, and committing to quarterly reviews. Begin with modest percentages if necessary. Consistency matters more than amount. Each automated transfer strengthens the system, reinforces the mindset, and contributes to long-term independence. Wealth is not a function of sporadic heroics, but of repeated, disciplined acts of allocation, structured to operate automatically, silently building a future that is secure, intentional, and abundant. By embracing automation, money works quietly in the background, shaping a life of freedom and choice. The small, invisible acts performed repeatedly create momentum that grows faster than effort alone. Automation removes emotion, reduces error, and builds reliability. Over time, the accumulation becomes undeniable, a testament to patience, discipline, and strategic planning. The practice of automated saving is more than financial management. It is a philosophy of living, structured, deliberate, and aligned with the principle that small, consistent actions compound into extraordinary results. Number 4, master spending before earning more. Mastering spending before earning more is the foundation of true financial control. Many people chase higher salaries believing wealth lies solely in income, yet the reality is far simpler and more profound. Controlling what leaves your hands determines whether money serves you or enslaves you. A high paycheck without discipline is a fast track to lifestyle inflation, stress, and fleeting security. Wealth is built not just by earning more but by understanding the flow of every dollar and ensuring it aligns with long-term goals. Mastery of spending is an exercise in awareness, self-control, and intentionality, transforming ordinary income into extraordinary potential. The first principle is clarity. Begin by understanding exactly where every dollar goes. Vague awareness or general budgeting is insufficient. True mastery requires precise tracking. Categorize every expense, from recurring bills to small, unnoticed daily purchases. Often the largest leaks are invisible: the morning coffee subscription services that no longer provide value, minor impulse buys that accumulate silently. By illuminating these hidden drains, spending becomes an intentional act rather than a series of unconscious choices. The insight gained through clarity is empowering because it transforms confusion into control. Awareness alone is not enough. Each expense must be scrutinized against its utility and alignment with broader objectives. Ask whether each purchase contributes to long-term stability, skill development, asset accumulation, or essential well-being. Non-essential spending should be minimized or eliminated entirely until financial systems are firmly in place. This process requires discipline, which is cultivated through deliberate practice. Consider every transaction as a vote for the life you want to create. Spending consciously reinforces your priorities and builds habits that sustain wealth long after the novelty of higher earnings fades. Separate needs from wants with ruthless honesty. Needs are those expenses necessary for survival, health, and productive activity. Wants are discretionary, often fleeting, and rarely generate lasting value. By categorizing spending in this way, you create a mental filter that allows immediate gratification to be delayed in favor of long-term gain. This distinction is the difference between reactive consumption and strategic investment. Those who master spending learn to prioritize enduring value over temporary pleasure. They choose meals that nourish both body and future, experiences that enrich without undermining stability, and purchases that align with growth rather than automation plays a role in controlling spending, just as it does in saving. Allocate fixed percentages of income to essential categories and invest or save first before discretionary spending occurs. Automating these allocations ensures that money is distributed according to plan, leaving only a carefully defined portion for variable choices. By structuring money in this way, decision fatigue is minimized, temptation is reduced, and financial discipline becomes habitual. This system transforms the abstract concept of budgeting into a practical, repeatable process that consistently supports asset building and stability. A critical component of mastering spending is resisting lifestyle inflation. As income increases, the tendency is to elevate living standards proportionally, often faster than wealth grows. Avoid the psychological trap of equating higher earnings with permission to spend more. Wealth is generated when incremental income is directed toward investments, savings, or skill development rather than consumption. The discipline to maintain spending within intentional limits, despite rising earnings, separates those who accumulate lasting wealth from those whose financial growth is perpetually undermined by desire. Strategic spending also includes leveraging value in negotiation. Prices are rarely fixed in principle. Understanding how to maximize utility through research, timing, and negotiation allows the same income to stretch further. Buying quality that lasts, seeking discounts, and comparing alternatives amplifies the impact of each dollar. This approach is not about frugality for its own sake, but about ensuring that resources are deployed in ways that enhance wealth, reduce waste, and preserve optionality. Every dollar saved through smart decision-making is effectively an additional income source, amplifying long-term financial potential. The psychology of delayed gratification is central. Every purchase deferred or reduced is a choice to allow money to generate more money elsewhere. Wealth does not accumulate in the mindless acquisition of goods but in the deliberate allocation of resources toward growth and security. The discipline to delay pleasure reinforces self-mastery, builds patience, and strengthens resilience. Those who internalize this mindset understand that every small, conscious decision compounds, creating freedom and flexibility far beyond the immediate sensory satisfaction of consumption. Practical application involves a multi-step process. First, track all current spending for a period sufficient to reveal patterns, typically 30 to 60 days. Second, categorize each expense by necessity, value, and alignment with long-term objectives. Third, identify areas where spending can be reduced or eliminated entirely. Fourth, automate essential allocations for savings, investments, and recurring bills. Fifth, schedule discretionary spending with strict limits to ensure it does not erode progress. Sixth, regularly review and adjust allocations to reflect evolving goals and circumstances. This structured approach transforms awareness into mastery. Spending mastery also intersects with income generation. By controlling outflows, one can redirect resources toward opportunities that create additional streams of revenue. For example, money not spent impulsively can fund small investments, skill development, or side ventures. These actions create leverage, turning disciplined behavior into exponential growth over time. The link between controlled spending and wealth creation is direct. By restraining unnecessary consumption, capital is freed for productive use, and opportunities multiply. Discipline becomes a multiplier, enhancing both security and potential. Emotional awareness is a vital element. Spending is rarely rational. It is often intertwined with identity, status, and momentary desire. Recognizing emotional triggers, stress, boredom, comparison, or social pressure allows for more intentional decisions. Developing alternative coping mechanisms or focusing on growth-oriented actions redirects energy from fleeting satisfaction to enduring benefit. Over time, emotional intelligence combined with financial discipline creates a mindset in which money serves purpose, rather than desire dictating behavior. Mastery also requires creating systems for accountability, whether through personal tracking, financial software, or accountability partners. Visibility into spending habits reinforces behavior. Knowing that progress is being monitored reduces the likelihood of unconscious overspending and strengthens commitment to long-term goals. Transparency, even if only to oneself, is a powerful motivator that transforms abstract intentions into actionable reality. The long-term payoff is profound. By mastering spending before seeking higher income, a foundation is created upon which wealth naturally grows. The discipline, foresight, and control developed in managing current resources directly enhance the effectiveness of future earnings. Higher income, when introduced to an already controlled spending framework, amplifies wealth rather than being consumed as quickly as it arrives. The combination of control and incremental increase in resources is far more powerful than income growth alone. Immediate steps include a thorough audit of current expenses, defining non-negotiable allocations for savings and investments, eliminating or reducing non-essential spending, automating financial flows, setting clear discretionary limits, and scheduling regular reviews to ensure adherence. Pair these with ongoing reflection on the psychological motivations behind spending, and each action reinforces long-term habits. This approach transforms daily decisions into building blocks for independence and prosperity. The underlying principle is simple yet profound. Money is a tool, not an end. Mastery of spending ensures that this tool is wielded wisely, shaping a life of freedom rather than debt, of security rather than anxiety, of growth rather than depletion. By controlling outflows before focusing on inflows, financial power becomes intentional, predictable, and sustainable. Discipline becomes identity. Patience becomes habit. Over time, the aggregate effect of consistent, conscious spending decisions far outweighs any immediate gratification, creating a trajectory toward lasting wealth and resilience. Every deliberate choice reinforces the system. Each month spent consciously rather than impulsively strengthens habits, teaches restraint, and compounds into tangible results. Mastery of spending transforms modest incomes into vehicles for opportunity, turning ordinary resources into extraordinary outcomes. By prioritizing intentional allocation, resisting short-term impulses, and embedding discipline into daily practice, financial independence becomes not a distant dream, but an inevitable result of thoughtful, persistent action. Number 5. Invest consistently on a small salary. Investing consistently on a small salary is the most powerful leverage anyone can use to build wealth. Yet, it is also one of the most misunderstood practices. Many people assume that investing is reserved for those with high incomes, large inheritances, or significant financial windfalls. The truth is that consistent, disciplined investment is far more important than starting capital. Even a modest salary, when directed into investments regularly and intelligently, grows exponentially over time. Compounding, patience, and consistency transform what seems like a small effort into a foundation for financial independence. It is not the size of the paycheck, but the rhythm of investment that creates extraordinary results. The first step is reframing perspective. A small salary is not a limitation, it is a starting point. Wealth is not built by sporadic bursts of action or by waiting for fortune to strike. It is built by repeated, deliberate decisions executed over long periods. Begin by identifying a fixed portion of income that can be dedicated to investments. Even 5 to 10% of a modest salary, invested consistently, can yield impressive returns over decades. The key is discipline, not volume. Each contribution, no matter how small, is a vote for long-term financial freedom. The next principle is choosing the right investment vehicles. Low-cost index funds, ETFs, and dividend-paying stocks are ideal starting points. They provide diversification, reduce risk, and allow even small contributions to grow steadily. Time is your ally. Starting early, even with modest amounts, amplifies the power of compounding. Investing regularly ensures participation and growth over the long term, smoothing out short-term volatility and reducing the temptation to time the market. Avoid schemes promising rapid returns. Focus instead on consistent, reliable growth. Automation enhances consistency. Schedule monthly or bi-weekly contributions to investment accounts so that money flows automatically without requiring a conscious decision each time. Automation removes hesitation, procrastination, and emotional interference. It ensures that investing occurs regardless of temporary moods, financial distractions, or uncertainty. This creates a system where wealth grows quietly and steadily, with little effort beyond the initial setup. Each automated deposit is a seed planted that compounds quietly, invisible yet unstoppable over time. Investing on a small salary also requires a mindset focused on incremental progress. Do not be discouraged by modest initial balances. Wealth is rarely the result of one giant leap. It is the accumulation of countless small, deliberate actions. Track progress by monitoring contributions and growth, not by comparing balances to others. This fosters patience and allows the investor to remain committed, understanding that compounding accelerates significantly as the principal grows. Small beginnings, executed consistently, eventually surpass expectations through the power of repeated effort. Skill development complements investment. Financial literacy enhances decision-making, reduces risk, and identifies opportunities. Learning about different asset classes, market trends, and the principles of risk management enables more informed contribution. Even with limited resources, knowledge allows strategic allocation, selection of low-cost options, and avoidance of unnecessary fees. Education amplifies impact. Each dollar invested is leveraged more effectively when guided by understanding. Continuous learning ensures that investment habits evolve alongside financial markets and personal circumstances. Emergency preparedness is essential. Consistent investing does not replace the need for liquidity and safety nets. Maintain a separate emergency fund to cover 3 to 6 months of essential expenses. This prevents the need to withdraw investments prematurely, allowing compounding to continue uninterrupted. A secure buffer ensures that setbacks do not derail long-term objectives. Protecting progress is as important as initiating. Investments must have time to grow. Preserving capital through careful planning guarantees they can. Discipline in lifestyle supports consistent investing. Avoid lifestyle inflation that consumes additional income as it arrives. Maintain spending habits within sustainable limits, even as salary grows. Allocate new earnings proportionally toward investments to amplify results. Discipline creates leverage. The more consistent contributions become, the greater the exponential effect of compounding. Lifestyle choices are not merely personal preferences. They are strategic tools that determine how effectively wealth accumulates. Diversification mitigates risk. Even with a small salary, spreading contributions across multiple assets reduces exposure to single market failures. Consider combining equities, bonds, and possibly alternative assets, such as REITs or digital ventures, suitable to budget. Diversification does not require large sums. The principle is consistency across channels that balance risk and growth. Over time, these multiple streams of compounding growth create stability and resilience. A single small misstep does not destroy progress when investments are spread thoughtfully. Periodic review strengthens strategy. Even with automation, reassessment ensures alignment with long-term goals. Adjust contributions based on income changes, performance, or personal priorities. Assess whether assets remain balanced, fees are minimized, and opportunities are optimized. This reflection prevents stagnation and ensures that each action continues to serve strategic objectives. Reviewing progress also reinforces motivation. Seeing steady accumulation over time affirms that consistent effort pays dividends, both financially and psychologically. Psychology is a critical factor. The discipline to invest regularly despite limited income requires emotional regulation. Avoid the temptation to skip contributions in lean months or when immediate desires arise. Treat investing as non-negotiable, akin to paying rent or other essential obligations. This mindset transforms investing from a discretionary choice into a structured habit. Each automatic investment reinforces identity. The individual becomes someone who prioritizes long-term growth over transient satisfaction. Self-perception, reinforced through repeated action, drives behavior more reliably than motivation alone. Side income magnifies impact. Any additional earnings, bonuses, freelance work, or temporary contracts should be partially directed into investments. This accelerates the growth of the portfolio without increasing stress or dependence on the primary salary. Treat windfalls strategically. Allocate a significant portion for compounding, while reserving a small fraction for personal enjoyment. This balanced approach ensures that opportunities are seized without compromising financial stability. Additional income becomes a catalyst rather than a distraction. Patience is the multiplier. Consistent investing on a small salary demands trust in time and systems. It may take years before results feel substantial, but every contribution enhances momentum. Compounding is invisible at first, yet relentless. Each month of disciplined investment strengthens the foundation, setting the stage for exponential growth later. Wealth built this way is resilient, independent of external fluctuations, and deeply aligned with intentionality. The slow, methodical pace is the hidden secret of financial independence. Immediate application involves defining a consistent investment amount, selecting accessible and diversified vehicles, setting up automated contributions, maintaining an emergency fund, avoiding lifestyle inflation, and tracking progress. Additional steps include educating oneself on investment principles, reinvesting returns, and reviewing allocations periodically. Start small but act without hesitation. The magnitude of the contribution is less important than the establishment of habit. Consistency is the bridge between modest income and substantial wealth. Ultimately, investing consistently on a small salary transforms limitations into advantages. The modest scale of initial contributions is outweighed by the compounding power of time and regularity. Each deposit, automated or deliberate, is a vote for future freedom, stability, and opportunity. Discipline, patience, and strategic allocation amplify modest earnings into meaningful wealth. Those who embrace this practice learn that financial growth is not about occasional windfalls, but about creating systems that turn even small resources into long-term security. Over time, the quiet accumulation becomes undeniable proof that consistent effort, not income alone, is the true determinant of financial independence. Number 6. Escape lifestyle inflation permanently. Escaping lifestyle inflation permanently requires a profound shift in perspective, self-discipline, and long-term vision. Most people equate higher income with the right to spend more, subtly increasing expenses as earnings rise. This pattern quietly sabotages wealth, as additional income is absorbed by new habits, rather than accumulated as assets or investments. True financial freedom comes not from earning more, but from mastering the relationship with money so that gains are preserved, leveraged, and compounded. Avoiding lifestyle inflation is less about frugality for its own sake, and more about directing every incremental dollar toward long-term stability, security, and growth. The first step is recognizing that each increase in income presents a decision, not an entitlement. A salary raise or bonus is not a justification to expand spending indiscriminately. It is a tool to accelerate asset accumulation and financial independence. By choosing to maintain disciplined spending habits despite increased income, every extra dollar works for the future rather than being consumed in the present. This approach requires awareness and self-control, transforming earnings into leverage rather than fleeting pleasure. The capacity to delay gratification is the invisible engine behind permanent wealth. Tracking expenses becomes crucial in preventing lifestyle creep. With rising income, it is easy for spending to rise unconsciously, as small indulgences accumulate into significant drains. Each month, categorize expenditures meticulously, separating essentials, discretionary spending, and contributions to investments or savings. Visibility into spending patterns exposes creeping costs that silently erode wealth. Regular audits reveal habits that were previously unnoticed, enabling proactive adjustments before lifestyle changes become ingrained. Knowledge of where every dollar goes is the cornerstone of escaping inflationary tendency. Mindset plays a pivotal role. Many assume that happiness is tied to material comfort or status symbols, creating psychological pressure to match perceived success. The challenge is to redefine wealth as freedom, security, and choice, rather than possession or appearance. By prioritizing these values over immediate satisfaction, decisions about spending become intentional. Each choice to save, invest, or resist unnecessary upgrades reinforces identity, teaching the mind to value growth over instant gratification. Over time, this mindset becomes habitual, automatically guiding behavior even under new financial circumstances. Establishing non-negotiable allocations ensures that money flows to growth before lifestyle. For every increase in income, define fixed percentages to savings, investments, and debt reduction before allocating funds to discretionary spending. This approach guarantees that financial progress is uninterrupted by rising expenses. By treating these allocations as inviolable, the individual creates a structural barrier against lifestyle inflation. The habit of prioritizing long-term gain over temporary desire becomes a self-sustaining system, turning discipline into default behavior. Automation reinforces these principles. Just as investments and savings are automated to ensure consistency, allocating portions of any income increase toward predefined goals prevents impulsive spending. Automatic transfers into investment accounts, retirement plans, or business ventures shield gains from temptation. Over time, these automated systems generate compounded returns, building wealth quietly yet inexorably. Automation reduces cognitive load, ensures adherence to strategy, and embeds discipline into the financial routine. Each automatic contribution is a deliberate vote for long-term freedom, executed without relying on willpower alone. Strategic lifestyle choices complement financial discipline. It is not necessary to live in deprivation, but rather to embrace intentional simplicity. Prioritize spending on essentials that truly add value, while avoiding upgrades that merely reflect temporary desires or social comparison. Housing, transportation, clothing, and technology should serve function and efficiency, not status. By living below one's means in a consistent, deliberate way, the surplus generated can be redirected toward assets that grow in value. This approach creates a sustainable model where increased income amplifies wealth rather than consumption. Education amplifies the ability to resist lifestyle inflation. Understanding the mechanics of compound interest, investment growth, and long-term asset building strengthens resolve. Knowledge of how delayed gratification produces exponential benefits makes it easier to resist fleeting impulses. Each dollar conserved becomes not a sacrifice but a strategic investment in future freedom. Continuous learning about personal finance, behavioral economics, and wealth strategies reinforces habits and provides tools to navigate income growth without succumbing to societal pressures. Accountability systems enhance consistency. Sharing financial goals with trusted mentors, partners, or even tracking progress publicly can reduce the risk of unconscious spending creep. Accountability creates external reinforcement, complementing internal discipline. Regular reviews of spending habits, combined with measurement of asset growth, provide tangible evidence of progress. Observing compounding success strengthens motivation, demonstrating that restraint is not limiting, but liberating. Habitual accountability transforms abstract goals into actionable, observable results. Avoiding lifestyle inflation also involves mindfulness and emotional intelligence. Spending is often emotionally driven, responding to stress, social comparison, or perceived rewards. Recognizing these triggers allows deliberate intervention. Alternative behaviors, such as investing, skill development, or experiences that add enduring value, repels impulsive consumption. Each intentional choice trains the mind to prioritize long-term outcomes over immediate pleasure, reinforcing the capacity to maintain a stable, controlled lifestyle, irrespective of income fluctuations. Emotional awareness converts potential weaknesses into strategic advantages. Side income presents both opportunity and risk. Additional earnings should be approached with the same discipline framework. Allocate increases toward asset building and debt reduction rather than immediate lifestyle upgrades. This ensures that supplementary income accelerates progress rather than simply raising expenses. Every new financial inflow becomes a tool for compounding growth, expanding options, and reinforcing freedom. Over time, disciplined use of both primary and secondary income establishes a consistent trajectory toward financial independence. Practical implementation involves several steps. Begin by tracking current spending to identify areas vulnerable to inflation. Establish non-negotiable allocations for savings, investments, and debt repayment. Automate contributions to these categories immediately upon income receipt. Create explicit limits for discretionary spending, and regularly review adherence. Integrate financial education into daily routines to strengthen resolve. Finally, monitor mindset and emotional responses to spending to ensure alignment with long-term objectives. These actions convert abstract concepts into concrete, repeatable behavior. The long-term effect of escaping lifestyle inflation is profound. Each avoided indulgence becomes a unit of capital redirected toward assets that appreciate, generate income, or increase options. Over years, the compounding effect of disciplined restraint creates freedom from financial anxiety, dependency, and scarcity thinking. Increased income no longer dictates lifestyle. Instead, it amplifies security and opportunity. Mastery over lifestyle inflation ensures that financial growth is structural, predictable, and sustainable, rather than transient and reactive. Immediate action includes auditing current expenses, defining fixed allocations for savings and investments, automating contributions, and committing to conscious evaluation of any income increases before lifestyle adjustments. Pair this with ongoing reflection on personal values and long-term objectives to ensure spending aligns with purpose. By embedding discipline into both behavior and mindset, wealth accumulation becomes inevitable, independent of external income pressures or societal expectations. Ultimately, escaping lifestyle inflation permanently transforms the relationship with money. It shifts focus from consumption to creation, from reaction to deliberate action, from fleeting satisfaction to enduring security. Discipline becomes a habit, restraint becomes freedom, and each decision compounds over time into tangible results. By mastering spending behavior before chasing higher income, financial growth becomes predictable, stable, and exponential. This practice instills resilience, patience, and foresight, enabling anyone to transform modest earnings into lasting wealth and independence. Number 7. Use time as wealth accelerator. Time is the most powerful currency available, far more influential than money itself. While many chase higher salaries or immediate returns, the truly wealthy understand that time, applied consistently and strategically, compounds into opportunities, growth, and freedom. Using time as a wealth accelerator means leveraging each hour, day, and month to build assets, acquire skills, and create systems that generate lasting value. It is not a matter of luck or rapid action. It is deliberate, disciplined engagement with every moment, transforming small, repeated efforts into exponential results over years and decades. The first step is recognizing that time is finite and non-renewable. Every hour spent is a choice, and how those choices are directed determines long-term outcomes. Activities that appear productive in the short term, idle scrolling, reactive tasks, or temporary indulgences, often yield minimal lasting benefit. Conversely, investing even small amounts of time into high-leverage activities can produce compounding returns. Learning a skill, automating financial processes, building relationships, or creating content that generates income long-term are all ways to convert time into wealth. Each moment becomes a building block, and the cumulative effect is greater than the sum of its parts. Discipline and time management is crucial. Begin by analyzing current routines to identify low-value activities that consume significant energy without producing lasting benefit. Track where time is spent over a week to reveal patterns, distractions, or habits that drain productivity. Replace these with actions that align with long-term financial and personal goals. Structuring the day intentionally ensures that time is applied toward building capacity, acquiring assets, and enhancing income streams. Every hour consciously redirected toward growth accelerates wealth far more effectively than any temporary increase in earnings. Time invested in skill development compounds similarly to financial investment. Acquiring new skills increases value creation potential and opens avenues for additional income streams. Focus on high-impact competencies relevant to both current roles and future opportunities. Even modest daily practice, 20 to 30 minutes consistently, accumulates into mastery over months and years. Skills act as tools that amplify effort, enabling tasks to be completed faster, more efficiently, or at higher quality. The return on these time investments often far exceeds the immediate cost and effort, providing leverage that magnifies future earning potential. Another critical application is the strategic use of financial time. Setting up automated systems, recurring investments, and passive income streams allows time to generate money without continuous active effort. Each hour spent establishing these systems early reduces the need for ongoing labor later, freeing energy for additional wealth-building activities. Compounding works most effectively when contributions are consistent over time, so early and regular application of both money and effort amplifies results. Time becomes a silent partner, compounding quietly while attention can be allocated elsewhere. Time also accelerates wealth through relationships and networking. Strategic connections can unlock opportunities, mentorship, and collaborations that multiply effort. Investing time in meaningful relationships, those that provide mutual growth and leverage, creates access to knowledge, deals, and guidance that would otherwise require years to acquire independently. Relationships are assets whose value compounds as trust, influence, and reputation grow. Prioritizing interactions that generate long-term benefit over short-term social gratification transforms social energy into financial leverage. Patience is a natural byproduct of treating time as an accelerator. Wealth accumulation is rarely instantaneous. The power of consistent, disciplined action over months and years far outweighs sporadic, intense bursts of effort. Time rewards persistence. The longer the horizon, the greater the impact of repeated, thoughtful choices. Daily practices, repeated habits, and continuous learning compound invisibly, producing outcomes that appear remarkable only in hindsight. Embracing this mindset ensures that temporary setbacks do not derail progress, because growth is measured over decades rather than weeks. Opportunity cost must be considered carefully. Time spent on low-value activities represents a lost chance to generate meaningful wealth. Prioritize high-leverage activities that produce lasting impact, whether financial, educational, or personal. This requires making deliberate choices about how each hour is allocated. Saying no to distractions, non-essential commitments, or immediate gratification is not deprivation. It is the strategic preservation of the most valuable resource. Each conscious refusal protects the ability to invest time into actions that accelerate growth. Focus enhances the effect of time investment. Multitasking, reactive engagement, and fragmented attention dilute effort. Deep, uninterrupted work sessions produce results exponentially greater than scattered activity. Dedicate specific blocks of time to skill building, financial planning, and asset creation. By concentrating effort, each hour generates higher output, magnifying returns over time. Focused time is compounded time. It transforms ordinary effort into high-value progress, accelerating the path to independence. Reflection and planning are equally important. Allocate regular periods to evaluate how time has been spent and how it aligns with long-term objectives. Identify inefficiencies, adjust priorities, and reinforce strategies that have proven effective. Reflection ensures that time continues to be applied wisely, rather than drifting into unproductive routines. By consciously shaping both immediate and long-term schedules, every day becomes a deliberate investment, rather than a reactive series of events. The intersection of time and compounding is particularly powerful in financial contexts. Regular disciplined investment over decades transforms modest contributions into substantial wealth. The earlier contributions begin, the more time compound interest has to multiply results. Small daily or monthly contributions, combined with patience, produce outcomes far larger than attempting rapid accumulation later. Understanding this principle emphasizes that consistent application of effort and money over time is the most reliable route to financial independence. Automation and delegation further magnify time's impact. Systems that operate independently, automated investments, recurring transfers, digital businesses, or outsourced tasks, allow wealth-building activities to continue without continuous active management. Time invested once in setting up these systems yields ongoing returns, freeing capacity for additional growth or skill acquisition. Each layer of automation accelerates wealth by turning one-time effort into recurring results, creating an engine that compounds both money and opportunity. Time invested in personal health and energy also accelerates wealth indirectly. Productivity, focus, and cognitive capacity rely on physical and mental well-being. Regular exercise, proper nutrition, and adequate rest maximize the ability to generate income, learn skills, and maintain discipline. Neglecting these areas diminishes the value of every hour applied elsewhere. Investing in health ensures that time is leveraged optimally, amplifying both financial and personal outcomes. Immediate application includes evaluating daily routines, identifying wasted hours, prioritizing high-value activities, scheduling focused work blocks, and setting up automated systems for investments or income generation. Commit to incremental skill development, regular reflection, and maintenance of personal well-being. Over time, these practices compound into significant advantage. Each deliberate choice to allocate time wisely accelerates progress toward financial independence, proving that even modest income, when coupled with consistent and intelligent use of time, can generate extraordinary results. Ultimately, using time as a wealth accelerator is a discipline that multiplies effort, knowledge, and capital. Each hour invested thoughtfully compounds into results that appear disproportionate to initial effort. By applying focus, consistency, automation, and reflection, time transforms from a neutral resource into the most powerful tool for financial growth. Those who embrace the principle understand that early discipline action creates momentum that continues to work long after initial effort, generating freedom, opportunity, and security. Time, leveraged correctly, is the ultimate asset and the truest accelerator of wealth. Number 8, create multiple income streams slowly. Creating multiple income streams slowly is a strategic approach that transforms financial stability from fragile to resilient. Many individuals rely solely on a single paycheck, leaving them vulnerable to unforeseen circumstances, such as layoffs, illness, or market shifts. True financial independence emerges not from sudden windfalls or high salaries, but from deliberately building diverse sources of income over time. The key is slow, steady, and consistent development, allowing each new revenue stream to grow without overwhelming existing responsibilities. By layering income sources gradually, individuals can multiply financial security and create compounding opportunities that generate wealth beyond the limits of a single job. The first step is recognizing the value of diversification. A single income, no matter how reliable, is a point of failure. By cultivating multiple streams, financial risk is spread across different activities, industries, or platforms. Each income source acts as a layer of protection, ensuring that the loss of one does not compromise overall financial health. Diversification is not about chasing every opportunity recklessly, but about identifying complementary avenues that align with skills, interests, and long-term goals. Incremental development ensures sustainability and prevents burnout. Begin with an inventory of skills, resources, and potential opportunities. Identify areas where expertise or existing assets can generate revenue. Freelancing, consulting, online businesses, content creation, real estate, or dividend-producing investments are all viable avenues. Start small, focusing on manageable projects that do not disrupt core obligations. Initial contributions may be modest, but consistency and gradual expansion allow them to compound over time. Each small effort lays the foundation for scalable income in the future. Prioritize systems that require minimal active management. Passive or semi-passive income streams, such as digital products, investment dividends, or rental income, allow simultaneous growth without constant intervention. Initial setup may demand significant effort, but once established, these systems generate revenue continuously. Leveraging automation, outsourcing, or digital platforms amplifies reach while preserving time and energy. The principle is clear. Invest effort strategically in assets and systems that yield ongoing returns rather than transient rewards. Patience is essential. Building multiple income streams slowly avoids the traps of overextension and financial mismanagement. Many aspiring entrepreneurs attempt rapid expansion, resulting in burnout or unfinished projects. By taking deliberate incremental steps, each revenue source is allowed to mature, providing a reliable foundation before the next layer is added. This approach encourages careful planning, minimizes mistakes, and ensures sustainable growth. Over years, these incremental additions accumulate into significant financial freedom. Risk management is critical. Each new income source carries potential pitfalls, so thorough evaluation is necessary before committing resources. Assess potential returns, required effort, and alignment with long-term objectives. Diversify across industries or platforms to reduce exposure to volatility. Risk-conscious expansion preserves capital, energy, and focus, while maximizing the likelihood of sustainable success. A calculated approach transforms opportunities into reliable contributors to overall wealth. Time allocation determines success. Balancing a primary job with additional income streams requires careful planning. Dedicate consistent, focused time blocks to growth activities without compromising essential responsibilities. Scheduling prevents distraction, enhances productivity, and ensures progress is continuous. Small, regular contributions accumulate, producing compounding effects over months and years. By treating income-building activities as non-negotiable commitments, the process becomes habitual, predictable, and resilient. Financial reinvestment accelerates growth. Profits from initial income streams should be strategically reinvested to expand existing ventures or seed new ones. This reinvestment amplifies returns without relying solely on additional external capital. Each cycle of reinvestment compounds growth, multiplying both skill and financial assets simultaneously. Gradual reinvestment ensures that expansion is sustainable and aligned with long-term objectives, rather than dependent on sporadic windfalls. Skill acquisition enhances potential revenue streams. The ability to adapt, learn, and apply new competencies increases options for diversification. Courses, mentorship, or self-directed learning equip individuals to identify emerging opportunities and leverage existing talents effectively. Skills act as multipliers. The more knowledge and capability one acquires, the more potential revenue channels can be created or improved. Incremental learning ensures that the individual remains competitive and capable of expanding income streams intelligently. Networking and collaboration play a pivotal role. Connections provide insight, opportunities, and partnerships that accelerate growth. Engaging with communities, industry experts, or mentors exposes individuals to proven strategies, potential clients, or joint ventures. Relationships, when nurtured with intentionality, compound value over time, creating opportunities that would otherwise be inaccessible. Slow, consistent development of networks complements income diversification, turning human capital into tangible financial leverage. Tracking progress reinforces discipline. Maintain records of revenue, expenses, time invested, and growth rates for each income stream. Visibility into performance allows for strategic adjustments, resource allocation, and scaling decisions. Monitoring ensures that effort is focused on high-impact activities and prevents stagnation. Periodic evaluation demonstrates incremental progress, reinforcing commitment and motivation, even when initial contributions seem small. This feedback loop transforms incremental actions into measurable results, sustaining momentum over the long term. Mindset is the invisible infrastructure supporting multiple income streams. Patience, resilience, and long-term thinking are required to maintain consistent effort over years. Avoid the temptation to chase instant success or abandon nascent projects due to slow returns. Treat each income source as a building block, recognizing that cumulative growth is far more powerful than immediate gratification. Consistency, discipline, and strategic thinking transform modest efforts into significant self-sustaining revenue networks. Immediate application involves evaluating personal skills and resources, identifying potential income streams, prioritizing manageable projects, and allocating focused time consistently. Begin with one or two sources, automate or systematize where possible, and gradually expand. Reinvest profits strategically, continue learning and monitor progress regularly, integrate networking and collaboration to amplify opportunities, always aligning efforts with long-term objectives. By approaching diversification deliberately and incrementally, each income stream compounds both financial stability and personal capability. Ultimately, creating multiple income streams slowly transforms vulnerability into security. The gradual, deliberate accumulation of revenue sources shields against uncertainty, accelerates wealth, and provides freedom of choice. Each layer added strengthens resilience, multiplies opportunity, and compounds over time. By combining discipline, patience, skill development, and strategic reinvestment, individuals convert modest initial efforts into lasting financial independence. This slow, methodical approach ensures that wealth is not a product of chance or sudden gains, but of consistent, intelligent, and deliberate action applied over time. Number 9. Think rich while earning average. Thinking rich while earning an average salary is a mindset that separates those who accumulate wealth from those who remain trapped in financial mediocrity. Income alone does not dictate financial outcomes. Perspective, habits, and decision-making determine whether money multiplies or disappears. Many people earn a steady paycheck, yet live paycheck to paycheck because their mindset is rooted in scarcity, consumption, or short-term satisfaction. Thinking rich requires cultivating a long-term strategic approach to money, opportunity, and personal growth, even when resources are limited. It transforms ordinary earnings into vehicles for wealth creation and positions the individual to take advantage of compounding advantages over time. The first principle is to perceive money as a tool, not an end. Every dollar earned should have a purpose, whether directed toward investments, skill development, or asset accumulation. Rich thinking prioritizes strategic allocation over immediate gratification. While the amount of income may be modest, the approach transforms every resource into leverage. By consistently applying this principle, average earnings are converted into disproportionate growth, laying the foundation for financial independence. The mindset shift is subtle but profound. Wealth is not about the number on a paycheck, but about how it is utilized. Budgeting with intention becomes essential. Thinking rich requires that every expenditure aligns with long-term objectives. Ordinary spending habits, purchasing unnecessary items or chasing trends, dilute potential wealth. By allocating income deliberately toward growth-oriented categories, such as investments, education, or passive income projects, average earnings begin to generate value far beyond immediate consumption. Conscious budgeting turns scarcity into opportunity and establishes a framework where wealth creation is consistent, predictable, and sustainable. Investing in oneself is a hallmark of thinking rich. Even with limited income, consistent dedication to learning and skill acquisition increases earning potential, opens new opportunities, and strengthens resilience. Courses, certifications, mentorship, or self-directed study serve as leverage, transforming time and effort into future returns. By applying knowledge strategically, average earners can position themselves for promotions, career shifts, or side ventures that enhance financial freedom. Intellectual capital becomes a multiplier that magnifies the impact of modest income over the long term. Rich thinking also emphasizes delayed gratification. The ability to resist immediate pleasure in favor of long-term benefits is crucial. Small sacrifices in consumption today, choosing to invest, save, or reinvest rather than indulge, compound into significant advantages over years. This discipline develops patience and mental fortitude, allowing the individual to consistently act in alignment with future wealth creation, rather than being swayed by temporary desires. Over time, delayed gratification becomes second nature, transforming behavior into a powerful engine for financial growth. Visualization and goal setting reinforce a wealthy mindset. Even while earning an average salary, clearly defining objectives, such as financial independence, passive income targets, or investment milestones, fosters purpose-driven action. Rich thinkers measure success not by immediate comfort, but by progress toward larger ambitions. This perspective encourages consistent, deliberate effort and reinforces habits that prioritize wealth accumulation over transient satisfaction. Clear goals make each decision intentional and guide the allocation of limited resources toward maximum impact. Networking and learning from the financially successful are critical components. Surrounding oneself with individuals who exhibit rich thinking provides insight, motivation, and practical strategies. Exposure to diverse perspectives reveals opportunities that might otherwise remain invisible. Mentorship, discussion, and observation cultivate behaviors, habits, and knowledge that transform ordinary earnings into strategic tools. The influence of environment cannot be underestimated. Thinking rich is reinforced by immersion in communities that model the behaviors and mindsets associated with wealth accumulation. Mindset also involves viewing setbacks as learning opportunities. Average earners often perceive challenges as obstacles that impede progress, while rich thinkers treat them as lessons that guide smarter decisions. Mistakes in budgeting, investment, or career decisions become feedback rather than failure. This perspective fosters resilience, adaptability, and long-term confidence, allowing individuals to persist and compound gains even in the face of adversity. Thinking rich transforms obstacles into stepping stones rather than dead ends. Creating mental models of wealth accelerates decision-making. Rich thinkers evaluate choices based on potential return on time, energy, and money. They anticipate future consequences, weigh risks, and seek strategies that maximize compounding impact. By systematically analyzing opportunities through the lens of long-term value, every decision becomes an investment in future freedom. This mindset allows average income to be leveraged effectively, producing outcomes that far exceed the limitations of salary alone. Strategic thinking converts ordinary decisions into engines for exponential growth. Automation enhances the ability to think rich. Setting up automatic transfers to savings, investment accounts, or debt reduction ensures that consistent action occurs regardless of momentary impulses or distractions. By removing reliance on willpower for each financial choice, rich thinking becomes embedded in behavior. The system guarantees that income, even if modest, is directed toward long-term goals efficiently and consistently. Over time, automation compounds, creating momentum that generates wealth quietly but inexorably. Mindful spending is a critical tool. Every purchase should be evaluated against long-term goals, considering whether it adds value, facilitates growth, or merely provides temporary satisfaction. Thinking rich is about maximizing utility per dollar spent. It involves distinguishing between essential investments and indulgent consumption, ensuring that average earnings are deployed to produce future returns rather than fleeting pleasure. Conscious evaluation creates patterns of decision-making that reinforce strategic behavior and compound wealth over time. Leveraging small wins reinforces motivation. Achievements such as consistent saving, completing a skill course, or generating minor side income serve as proof that average resources can produce meaningful results. Celebrating incremental progress reinforces identity and encourages continued action. Rich thinking thrives on momentum built from repeated, intentional decisions, demonstrating that average income, when combined with strategic behavior, yields extraordinary outcomes. Consistency compounds impact. While large, sudden gains may appear transformative, slow, disciplined, and consistent application of rich thinking principles produces results that are far more reliable and sustainable. Daily habits, saving, investing, learning, networking, accumulate invisible advantages that manifest over years. The ability to maintain focus, resist distractions, and act in alignment with long-term objectives transforms an ordinary salary into a vehicle for wealth, independence, and choice. Immediate application includes redefining money as a tool, allocating income purposefully, automating savings and investments, committing to skill development, practicing delayed gratification, and surrounding oneself with wealth-oriented influences. Regular reflection, mindful spending, and incremental growth projects reinforce behavior and mindset. Each small, consistent step compounds over time, proving that thinking rich while earning average is not theoretical. It is actionable, measurable, and transformative. Ultimately, thinking rich while earning an average salary shifts the focus from limitations to potential. It emphasizes strategic action, deliberate allocation, and long-term planning over short-term comfort. Wealth is not determined by income alone, but by how resources are utilized, decisions are made, and habits are cultivated. By adopting this mindset, average earners can transform modest paychecks into opportunities for exponential growth, financial freedom, and lasting security, demonstrating that rich thinking is far more important than large earnings. Number 10, discipline beats talent in wealth. Discipline beats talent in wealth because consistent action, careful planning, and deliberate behavior produce results far beyond raw ability alone. Talent may provide an early advantage, a spark of opportunity, or a momentary lead, but without structure, habits, and long-term commitment, it is often wasted. Financial success is rarely determined by who is smartest or most naturally gifted. It is determined by who acts with patience, persistence, and consistency over years. Discipline creates momentum, compounds small decisions into massive outcomes, and ensures that opportunities are seized rather than squandered, making it the ultimate differentiator between fleeting promise and lasting wealth. The foundation of financial discipline begins with clarity and purpose. Individuals must define what wealth means for them and establish concrete goals that guide action. This is not abstract or vague. It involves setting measurable objectives such as savings targets, investment milestones, or income levels from multiple sources. Clear goals provide direction and focus, preventing energy from dissipating on impulsive desires or reactive behavior. Discipline ensures that each day, week, and month contributes to long-term objectives rather than fleeting gratification. Budgeting is a cornerstone of disciplined wealth building. Talent alone cannot prevent overspending, mismanagement, or the slow erosion of capital. A disciplined approach to income allocation prioritizes essentials, savings, and investments before discretionary spending. Every dollar is treated as a tool to achieve specific objectives, and spending is guided by strategy rather than impulse. This methodical approach ensures that even modest earnings contribute consistently to wealth accumulation. Over time, disciplined allocation compounds, producing results far greater than relying on talent or opportunity alone. Consistency in investing amplifies the power of discipline. Rather than waiting for the perfect moment or the highest salary, disciplined individuals invest regularly, regardless of market conditions or external circumstances. Small, repeated contributions to retirement accounts, index funds, or passive income vehicles accumulate over time, producing exponential growth. Talent may identify occasional high-return opportunities, but without discipline, such chances are often missed or mismanaged. Long-term, predictable action outweighs sporadic brilliance, demonstrating that discipline is the engine of sustainable wealth. Controlling spending is equally critical. Talent often tempts individuals to assume that income automatically translates to prosperity, encouraging impulsive purchases or lifestyle inflation. Discipline enforces boundaries, ensuring that earnings are directed toward value creation rather than transient satisfaction. It cultivates the habit of mindful consumption, separating essential expenses from indulgence, and embedding restraint into daily decision-making. By maintaining this control consistently, financial growth becomes predictable and resilient, independent of fluctuating income or natural ability. Skill development benefits greatly from disciplined practice. Talent may provide initial aptitude, but refinement, knowledge, and expertise are the products of deliberate repetition and sustained effort. Investing time and energy into learning, upskilling, and expanding knowledge systematically produces compounding advantages. Each hour devoted to acquiring mastery, understanding markets, or developing business acumen enhances the capacity to generate wealth. Discipline ensures that skills are continually improved and leveraged, producing returns far beyond what raw talent alone can achieve. Resilience is a product of discipline. Setbacks, failures, or market fluctuations are inevitable, but disciplined individuals remain consistent in pursuit of objectives. Talent may waver under pressure, but the disciplined mind perseveres, adapting strategies, learning lessons, and maintaining progress. This persistence compounds over years, converting challenges into opportunities and demonstrating that the ability to endure and act predictably is more powerful than inherent ability. Discipline is the stabilizing force that ensures momentum continues despite obstacles. Automation and systems magnify the effects of discipline. By embedding financial rules into routines, individuals ensure that savings, investments, and strategic decisions occur automatically, reducing reliance on willpower alone. Automated transfers to investment accounts, scheduled budgeting reviews, and recurring debt payments preserve consistency and prevent errors caused by forgetfulness or emotion. Discipline is not merely about self-control in the moment. It is about creating systems that enforce long-term behavior effortlessly, ensuring steady progress toward wealth. Time management reinforces financial discipline. Wealth is built by the cumulative effect of repeated, intentional choices, and disciplined time allocation ensures these actions occur consistently. Prioritizing high-leverage activities, whether career development, side ventures, or financial planning, maximizes output. Avoiding distractions, multitasking, and non-essential commitments preserves focus and amplifies the effect of each effort. Talent alone cannot compensate for wasted time, but disciplined allocation ensures that effort is applied where it produces the greatest impact. Emotional regulation is another dimension of discipline. Markets fluctuate, opportunities are uncertain, and financial journeys are rarely linear. Discipline cultivates patience, detachment, and rational decision-making. It prevents impulsive reactions, such as panic selling, over-leveraging, or chasing trends, which often undermine talent-driven advantage. A steady, rational approach ensures that actions are aligned with long-term objectives, rather than short-term emotion, reinforcing wealth accumulation over decades. Accountability accelerates disciplined behavior. Tracking progress, maintaining transparency with oneself or mentors, and measuring outcomes against objectives ensures that deviations are corrected promptly. Talent may inspire initial efforts, but without feedback and measurement, progress can stagnate. Regular review and adjustment reinforce consistency, identify inefficiencies, and sustain momentum. Accountability transforms abstract intentions into actionable, repeatable behavior, embedding discipline into every decision. Long-term planning differentiates disciplined wealth builders from the merely talented. Discipline enforces the habit of preparing for the future, retirement, passive income, market downturns, and unforeseen challenges. Talent may yield high short-term results, but without foresight, gains can be ephemeral. Strategic planning, combined with disciplined execution, ensures that resources are preserved, grown, and leveraged over time. Each small, consistent action contributes to a trajectory that multiplies wealth steadily, proving that discipline is the true multiplier of effort. Immediate application involves setting clear financial goals, establishing strict budgeting and investment routines, automating contributions, dedicating time to skill development, tracking progress meticulously, and regulating emotional responses to financial fluctuations. Each action reinforces a disciplined framework, ensuring that even ordinary resources are transformed into extraordinary outcomes. By committing to consistent, deliberate behavior, the individual maximizes the value of every dollar, hour, and effort. Ultimately, discipline beats talent in wealth because it converts potential into reality. Talent may offer advantages, but it cannot substitute for consistent action, careful planning, and deliberate execution over time. Discipline compounds effort, mitigates risk, and ensures that financial progress is predictable and sustainable. Those who prioritize structure, habits, and consistency over natural ability consistently outperform their more talented peers who lack control or persistence. Wealth is a product of patience, strategy, and repeated, intentional action, demonstrating that discipline is the most powerful determinant of financial success.